the world was going downhill from there. But not long after that, I met this man at church. And one Sunday morning he got up. Linda, would you turn that on? One Sunday morning he got up, and Ruth and I were standing behind the piano, and whoever else was on the praise team. And Brother Freeman said, Don Goodson is going to dismiss, and then Charles McClaren has something to say. And Ruth poked me, and she said, is he going to propose to you? And I said, no, Ruth. He's just going to tell what the Lord has done for him. And so sure enough, Charles came up, and he got up there. He began to tell what the Lord had done in his life. And I said, see, Ruth? And a few minutes later, in front of the whole congregation, he walked over and got down on his knees and said, the only thing that I need to make my life complete is to have Aimee in it. And he got on his knees and proposed. And that Sunday morning, I said yes. And I believe that I didn't know I was going to do this and hit it either. I believe that the Lord put us together for a reason. And we've been married 8.5 years now. And Charles has got the sermon tonight. I don't. And he's going to tell you, he wants me to read his scripture. His scripture is Jeremiah 29:11. It says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
Well, this is the last place I thought I'd ever be. You just got to know where I come from. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life. I was raised in church. My mom took me every Sunday. And that's where I learned everything I know about church was in Sunday school. That's when I think it's a blessing to go and teach the kids. I mean, you don't think they're listening, but they are. That's right. I mean, that's how I learned everything. I mean, I went to church until I was, I guess a teenager, and I thought I knew more than anybody else. I quit going to church and started running around with a bunch of people older than I was. I got away from church and I started drinking and smoking and doing a lot of stuff you shouldn't be doing when you're a teenager. But you know, when you're a teenager, you know more than anybody. And I stayed out of church for a long time. I started dating a girl from Malatown, and I started going to church again. I let people hurt me because I had real long hair. I was a typical 70s guy, I guess. I had hair down halfway down my back, and I went to a revival one week, and the preacher was talking about people imitating Jesus. He said, these young people are going around here imitating Jesus. And I was the only one in church that had long hair. And it just, it ripped my heart. And I quit going to church again. And then I got back out in the world again. I started going to parties all the time and drinking and running around. And then I started smoking pot. And that was my first introduction to drugs, I guess. I smoked pot for years. I mean, from the time I got up, from the time I went to bed at night, I was high every day. I mean, I didn't think I could live without it. And then I started doing worse drugs, more drugs, different kinds of drugs. I think I've done every kind of drug you could think of doing. I've never done crack. I guess that's the only thing I had never done. I've had people tell me, Charles, if you'd ever got hooked on crack, you wouldn't have never come back. But I would say that I got hooked on meth, and that's worse than crack to me. First time I done meth, I was hooked from the first time I done it. I mean, it took over my life. I didn't think I could live without it. I mean, it more powerful than any marijuana I ever smoked. I mean, it made me feel young again. I thought I could do everything, and then you couldn't do nothing, because you'd start doing something, then you'd forget what you was doing. I mean, it just eats you from the inside out. It changed my whole life. I lost my wife, and when I lost her, I thought I lost everything. And that's I guess the biggest thing that ever happened in my life. It just ruined me real bad. I mean, I lost my mom and dad when they was in their 60s. Oh, and I cussed the Lord for that. Thought, why do you want to take my parents away? I mean, when you're on drugs and stuff, that's all you think about, you know, what you've lost. You don't think about what the Lord's done for you. And he saved my life so many times. I had two best friends that was killed in car wrecks. And if I wouldn't have been in church at one time, I'd have been in the car with one of them. And if I wouldn't have been married the second time, I'd have been in the car with the other one. And both of them got killed in Camaros. And that's just something. I mean, they was cousins. One of them in a red one and one in a black one. And I don't know. I've never liked Camaros since. It just the devil car. I mean, my best friend, David, he bought a brand new IROC Z, and he come to work one day and he said, "Come on, let's go for a ride." Well, we went to Plumville and back to Menifee, the fastest I ever went in my life. I said, "Man," I said, "you don't need this car. You're going to kill yourself." 30 days later, he was dead. And, you know, you think that would straighten you up. But I think it just, I don't know, it made me straighten up for a little while, then you go right back at it again. And I think it makes it even worse, because you think, why did the Lord take them away? Because neither one of them, they drank, but then neither one of them did drugs or nothing. They wasn't like I was, you know. I couldn't understand why the Lord took them and not me. And later on, I sold drugs for years, and I don't know how I kept from going to jail for it. The only time I ever got thrown in jail was for being drunk. Never got busted for doing drugs, never got busted for selling drugs, and I lived right across the street from the high school. If I'd have got busted, I'd been in jail for 25 years. Never thought about that while I was doing it, until afterwards. One day this guy called me up and wanted me to go buy some drugs for him. So I called everybody I knew, but nobody had any. And I finally called a guy that lived in Birdtown. And I didn't do much business with him, but my sister knew his sister. I got my sister's hooked on drugs, so, you know, this goes right on down the line. And I went to his house to get some drugs one day. We were sitting there smoking pot, and these three guys pulled up in a van. He said he wanted to go out and talk to them. I went out on the front porch and talked to him with him, you know, we sat around and talked. They act like they was interested in buying his house. But that wasn't why they was there. He had ripped them off about 2 weeks before, or another guy they sent up there to buy drugs. He took their money away from them, held them at gunpoint and stole their money. Well, these three guys come back and get even. They left after we told them how much we wanted for the land and stuff. And they come back about 10 minutes later, and they got him back out on the front porch, and I was standing right beside him, and he said, "Man, look, show me where the property lines are." Well, he bent over to put his boots on. They shot him in the back with 30-06. I mean, you know, I've hunted my whole life, and I know what a gunshot sounds like, but it didn't sound the same that day. It just kind of pow. You know, it didn't register that they shot him until he grabbed his back and said, "Oh my God," and took off running. And I seen the other guy pull out a pistol. He was chasing him around the house. I don't know how many times they shot him. They killed him that day. And when he jumped off the porch, I don't know why he run around the house, but I run back in the house. And when I slammed the door behind him, one of them shot the door with a buckshot. I mean, that's how close it was for me being dead that day. I mean, I think God had a purpose in my life, my whole life. I mean, He protected me so long, kept me out of trouble. When I went back in that house that day, I mean, it could have been me too. I mean, he could have killed me too. They shot through the house. It's an A-frame house, and there's no walls. It's just the roof, and that's all there is. They shot through that house for 30 minutes with me and his girlfriend in that house. And there was bullets flying everywhere. And she's panicking, you know, she's done lost it because they killed her boyfriend. And she's saying, well, what do we do now? And I was like, call the law. And she says, you think we should? And I'm like, yes, call the law. You know, I mean, we're going to die here if we don't get some help. And he had 2 guns in the house, a carbine and a .22. And I probably had 8 bullets. And every time I pulled the trigger on that gun, it wouldn't shoot. And I don't know what was wrong with it, but I put the bullet back in there and shoot. It'd shoot. And there's one of them. He was kneeling behind the van, reloading his gun. And I had a dead silence. I mean, I don't miss when I shoot at something. I've shot a gun my whole life, and it didn't go off. And I think the Lord didn't want me to kill nobody. I don't think I could have lived with it. But I done like I said, I took that bullet out, put it back in there, and I shot through the windshield on the van and hit him in the shoulder. And they left after I shot him. They got in the car and were starting to leave. And I'll tell you right now, that's the first time I've prayed in years. Because I knew I was running low on ammunition, said, Lord, they're going to kill us. What are we going to do now? And after I shot that boy, they got in the van and left. And Jack Eads come pulling up. Some of you might know Jack. And he come walking up through there like there wasn't nothing wrong. I said, Jack, I don't know if they're all gone or not. Well, he draws his gun pretty quick then. And I come out of the house. He said, they're all gone. He said, we got them down at the highway. And he told me, you can go ahead and put your gun down. I said, no, I can't do that, Jack. I said, I'm not sure they're all gone or not. I said, we've been shot at for 30 minutes, you know. I ain't putting this down till I'm not sure they're all gone. And we walked around there where Ronnie was laying. And I shot him, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. But that's just some of the stuff that I've been through. But when I lost my wife, she left me for somebody else. And that's really all I live for, because my mom and dad were gone. And when she left me, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was suicidal. I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to kill him and her, him more than her, and I don't know why, because she cheated as much as he did. You know, the Lord, I started going to church and killed the Lord. And that's when I gave my life back to the Lord. And He took all that want to away, all the drugs, alcohol. I just wanted to go to church. I wanted to give my life to the Lord and let Him use me. And that's when I found out that He had a purpose for me. I mean, me and Aimee taught recovery for over 10 years to people that was in drugs and alcohol. I mean, you touch so many, and then there's so many that don't never get it. And they just don't understand how the Lord can change my life. And I've never been to recovery. I tell everybody my recovery was 12 steps from the back to the front of the church. To that altar right there. I spent a lot of time at the altar. I prayed all the time. Every time I go to church, I'd go to the altar. I don't do that enough now. I mean, I ought to be there every time I come in now. I mean, He puts so many people in your life that'll help you. All you got to do is go to church. I mean, you'll meet so many people that's just willing to help you. I mean, put Ronnie and Terry on the spot again. I wore them out. I stand at that car lot all the time. And I don't want to think that I don't love y'all. Y'all help me so much. I'm just thankful for the Lord putting y'all in my life. I mean, y'all don't know how many people y'all helped at that car lot.
Amen.
I talked to a guy this morning, he said he was worried that he was wearing y'all out too. I told him, don't worry about it, just keep going. That's what they're there for. I mean, that's what people of God want to do. They want to help other people. Just let them help you. I mean, I had so many people. I mean, this is the last place I thought I'd ever be. I never thought I'd be married to a preacher. I mean, coming from drugs and alcohol and where I am now, you'd never see me up in front of a bunch of people unless I was stoned. You didn't know what I was saying. You know, that'd be the only way I'd be up here. I love everybody at this church. I mean, every church I go to, I meet more people. It's been through the same stuff that I have, and you can touch people. Just tell them what the Lord has done for you. I mean, that's the most you can do for any of them. You just tell them what God does for you. How He touched your heart, how He changed your whole life. I wish I could quit crying, but I can't. I tell everybody that it's love of the Lord coming out. Can't help it. I mean, I talked to the guy this morning. He said, I can't go up there and talk because I'll cry. I said, man, I ain't never got up there that I didn't cry. I mean, just let it go, man. I mean, it makes everybody feel what you're feeling. I mean, it just touches my heart. Every time I think about what the Lord's done in my life, He's done so many things for me. I mean, I've been blessed since I got saved. I mean, I can't even count how many blessings I've had. There's no way. I mean, He's changed my whole life. I've got more than I ever wanted. I mean, I don't have no wants no more. I don't worry about stuff anymore. I mean, that was my downfall. I worried about everything, and I covered it up with drugs. That's how I quit worrying about stuff. I get so high I couldn't worry no more. And God will take all that away from you. All you got to do is just give it to God. I mean, I just can't believe what He's done for me. When I first got saved and I straightened my life up, I didn't feel, I don't know how you say it, worthy of it. Why would He want to save me? I mean, the things that I've done, the way I cussed Him, why did He want me? That was the hardest thing. And I talked to a bunch of preachers, and they said, that's all behind you. You got a new life now. Live for the Lord. That's about all I really know to say. I love the Lord. I'm thankful that He saved my soul. He can do the same for all of y'all, your family. Like I said earlier, just keep praying for them. Don't never give up. Never give up. I mean, my ex-mother-in-law told me, she said, I prayed for whatever it took to get you saved. She said, I never thought it'd be you getting a divorce from my daughter. That's what it took. Straighten my life up. I got a sister that just had a stroke, about 2 or 3 months ago, and I pray for her every day. Because she still ain't right. I mean, she wants to be right. I know she wants to be. She just can't seem to get in there. But, she's like I was. She wants me to pray for her. That's all you can do. Just keep praying for her. That's about all I got to say.